Once upon a time, in the mystical realm of Elysium, the tides of war surged relentlessly. The kingdom of Valeria stood at the precipice of doom, its proud banner fluttering in the gusty winds of impending darkness. The realm had long been plagued by rival factions, each vying for ultimate dominion over its fertile lands and untold riches. The armies of Valeria, led by the noble King Alaric, gathered on the blood-soaked plains of Enthralia, where the final showdown between light and shadow would be fought. King Alaric was a seasoned warrior, his armor gleaming under the unforgiving sun, and his eyes flickering with a mixture of determination and dread. The battlefield sprawled before him, a vast canvas of chaos, waiting to be painted with the crimson hues of countless lives lost. On the opposing side, the malevolent sorcerer Lord Malachi, an embodiment of pure malevolence, stood at the head of the horde of darkness. Clad in shadowy robes, his fingers crackling with arcane power, Malachi sought nothing less than complete annihilation of the Valerian forces. He had gathered an array of monstrous abominations, twisted and distorted by his dark sorcery, ready to unleash them upon the unsuspecting soldiers. As the sun reached its zenith, heralding the fateful hour, the two armies clashed with the force of 1,000 thunderstorms. Valerian knights charged valiantly, their swords slicing through the air like hungry vipers, while Malachi's abominations lumbered forward, their claws rending flesh and bone. The symphony of clashing steel, agonized screams, and the crackling of magical spells echoed across the field, creating a cacophony of doom. The battle was a tableau of carnage. Men and women fell in a twisted ballet of death, limbs severed, guts spilling forth like macabre tapestries. Valerian archers, their faces pale and drenched in sweat, unleashed a barrage of arrows that punctured the hearts of Malachi's foul creations, but even then, their numbers seemed unending. King Alaric, his sword an extension of his will, waded through the battlefield, leaving a trail of corpses in his wake. He fought with the ferocity of a cornered beast, his body a canvas of bruises and gashes. The taste of iron filled his mouth as he roared, his voice lost amidst the symphony of violence. As the day wore on, hope flickered like a dying flame. The ranks of Valeria thinned, their once indomitable spirit replaced by despair. King Alaric, his heart heavy with the weight of impending defeat, rallied his weary troops for one final, desperate charge. With an earth-shaking battle cry, they surged forward, defying the odds and carving a path toward the heart of darkness. It was a moment of brilliance in an ocean of despair. King Alaric, his sword ablaze with righteous fury, locked blades with Lord Malachi himself. The clash of their weapons reverberated through the air, each strike sending sparks cascading like dying stars. The two warriors were locked in a dance of death, their gazes locked, and their fates intertwined. In one final, cataclysmic clash, King Alaric's blade pierced the heart of the sorcerer, black blood oozing from the wound. With a cry that shook the heavens, Lord Malachi fell, his life force seeping away, taking with it the darkness that had haunted the realm. The battle raged on, but without the guidance of their malevolent leader, Malachi's forces crumbled like a decaying wall, their morale shattered and their unity dissolved. The remaining abominations, deprived of their master's influence, succumbed to confusion and disarray. Valerian soldiers, reinvigorated by the fall of their most fearsome adversary, fought with renewed vigor, hacking through the disoriented ranks of their enemies. The field was drenched in a sea of corpses, both Valerian and Malachi's minions, forming a haunting tapestry of death and despair. The air was thick with the stench of blood and the wails of the dying, mingling with the victorious cries of the surviving Valerians. The price of victory had been steep, paid with the lives of countless warriors, but the kingdom of Valeria had prevailed. As the sun began its descent, casting an ethereal glow over the battlefield, King Alaric surveyed the aftermath of the grand battle. His eyes, once filled with determination and dread, now held a weariness that ran deep within his soul. The victory had come at a great cost, and the scars of war would forever mark the land and the hearts of its people. Amidst the somber atmosphere, the king knelt beside fallen comrades, his hand brushing against their lifeless faces with a mixture of reverence and grief. These brave souls had fought alongside him, their lives extinguished in the pursuit of a brighter future. Their sacrifices would be remembered, their names etched into the annals of Valerian history. As the night cast its shadow upon the ravaged battlefield, King Alaric made a solemn vow to rebuild his kingdom, to honor the fallen by creating a realm where peace and prosperity could flourish. The road ahead was fraught with challenges, but the valiant spirits of those who had given their lives would guide him, their legacy eternally intertwined with the fate of Valeria. And so, the grand battle came to an end, leaving behind a scarred landscape and a kingdom forever changed. In the years to come, the tales of heroism and tragedy would echo through the generations, a reminder of the price paid for freedom. And while the wounds of war would slowly heal, the memory of that fateful day would forever haunt the dreams of those who had witnessed the gruesome dance of death on the blood-soaked plains of Anthralia. In the aftermath of the grand battle, the kingdom of Valeria stood on the precipice of a new era. The scars of war ran deep, etched into the land and the hearts of its people. King Alaric, weary yet resolute, set out on a path to rebuild his shattered realm and usher in an era of peace and prosperity. The once vibrant cities of Valeria now lay in ruins, their once proud towers reduced to crumbling remnants. But amidst the devastation, seeds of hope began to take root. Villagers emerged from the safety of their hiding places, their determination fueling the laborious task of reconstruction. Brick by brick, they rebuilt what had been lost, their hands infused with the spirit of resilience. King Alaric, his face lined with the weight of responsibility, ventured into the war-ravaged lands, seeking alliances and treaties that would solidify the peace. He journeyed to the far corners of Elysium, his presence a beacon of hope to those who had weathered the storm of battle. The scars on his body bore witness to the sacrifices made, a reminder of the cost of victory. Yet, even as Valeria began to heal, whispers of unrest echoed through the realm. Rival factions, dormant during the conflict with Lord Malachi, began to stir, their hunger for power once again taking hold. Shadows crept through the alleys of Valerian cities, whispering secrets and sowing seeds of discord. Unbeknownst to King Alaric, a new threat loomed on the horizon, a gathering storm that threatened to plunge Elysium into darkness once more. In the desolate lands beyond Valeria's borders, a group of dark sorcerers, remnants of Malachi's followers, had regrouped and plotted their revenge. Their allegiance to chaos and destruction knew no bounds, and their hatred for Valeria burned like a festering wound. Word of their malevolent intentions reached the king's ears, carried by loyal scouts who risked their lives to gather the crucial information. King Alaric, no stranger to the horrors of war, knew that the peace he had fought so hard to secure was fragile, susceptible to the whims of those who sought to undermine it. Summoning his most trusted advisors, the king devised a plan to confront the rising threat. Valeria's finest warriors were assembled once again, battle-hardened veterans and fresh recruits alike. They stood ready to defend their realm against the encroaching darkness, their swords gleaming with the promise of resistance. As the dark sorcerers amassed their forces, fueled by an insatiable thirst for vengeance, Valeria's defenders prepared for the inevitable clash. The stage was set for another grand battle, where the fate of the realm would hang in the balance once more. Under the darkened sky, the armies gathered, their footsteps reverberating through the hallowed grounds. The air crackled with tension as the two forces faced each other, the echoes of the past merging with the uncertainties of the present. The clamor of war drums pierced the night, drowning out the whispers of doubt. And so, the sequel to the grand battle commenced, with blades clashing, magic surging, and lives hanging by the thinnest of threads. The screams of the fallen mingled with the triumphant cries of the valiant, creating a symphony of chaos and despair. The outcome of this new conflict would shape the destiny of Elysium and test the limits of King Alaric's resolve. In the midst of the gruesome turmoil, alliances would be forged, loyalties would be tested, and sacrifices would be made. Friend and foe would blur, and the line between hero and villain would waver. As the battle raged on, the horrors of war unleashed their wrath upon the battlefield. The clash of steel was accompanied by the crackling of arcane spells, lighting up the night with bursts of ethereal energy. Valerian warriors fought with a fervor born of desperation, their resolve unyielding even in the face of overwhelming odds. King Alaric, his armor dented and bloodied, led his forces from the front lines, his sword a beacon of hope amidst the chaos. He met the dark sorcerers head-on, their twisted spells and vile incantations countered by his unwavering determination. Each swing of his blade brought down foes with lethal precision, his steps a dance of death upon the crimson-stained ground. But the dark sorcerers, fueled by their bitter desire for revenge, were formidable adversaries. Their mastery of forbidden arts twisted the fabric of reality itself. Shadows writhed and swirled, forming tendrils that ensnared Valerian soldiers, draining their strength and will to fight. Fiery infernos erupted from the ground, engulfing the battlefield in a tempest of flames. Amidst the chaos, a small group of Valerian mages, led by the skilled sorceress Lady Isolde, rose to the occasion. Their voices rang out in ancient incantations, weaving protective barriers and unleashing devastating spells upon the dark sorcerers. Each arcane surge tore through the enemy ranks, incinerating their malevolent adversaries with fierce determination. But the battle was far from won. The forces of darkness were relentless, their numbers seemingly endless. The cries of fallen comrades echoed through the air, joining the symphony of agony that pervaded the battlefield. King Alaric's heart weighed heavy with the burden of command, the responsibility of every life lost etched deeply upon his soul. Yet, in the face of despair, a flicker of hope emerged. Valeria's warriors, inspired by their king's unwavering resolve, fought on with renewed vigor. They rallied behind their fallen comrades, wielding their swords and shields as beacons of defiance against the encroaching darkness. The Valerian spirit, tested and scarred, refused to be extinguished. In a climactic clash, King Alaric found himself face to face with the leader of the dark sorcerers, a sinister figure known as Lord Arcturus. The air crackled with suppressed power as their weapons clashed, sending sparks cascading through the night. Arcturus' eyes gleamed with an unholy hunger, his every movement driven by a thirst for dominance. Their duel was a deadly ballet of skill and desperation. The ground trembled beneath their feet as they traded blow after blow, their weapons carving arcs of destruction through the air. King Alaric's sword hummed with a celestial resonance, its power augmented by his unwavering will. Arcturus countered with dark magic, his spells aimed at tearing apart the very fabric of his opponent's being. With a final surge of strength, King Alaric unleashed a devastating strike, his blade cleaving through Arcturus' defenses and finding its mark. The dark sorcerer's eyes widened in disbelief as his life force ebbed away, leaving him crumpled upon the blood-soaked ground. The victory, hard-won and paid for in blood, belonged to Valeria. As the echoes of battle began to fade, a profound silence settled upon the battlefield. Valerian soldiers stood amidst the fallen, their breaths heavy and their bodies battered, yet their hearts filled with a mix of grief and relief. The sequel to the grand battle had reached its crescendo, and the realm of Elysium would forever bear the scars of the conflict. King Alaric, his gaze sweeping over the aftermath, made a solemn vow to honor the fallen once more. Their sacrifices, along with the bravery and resilience of his people, would be etched into Valeria's history, a testament to the enduring spirit of the realm. But the story of Elysium was far from over. Though the battles were won, the wounds of war would take time to heal. The realm would face new challenges and hidden threats, for in a world where shadows loomed, peace was always a fragile treasure. And so, as the sun began to rise over the scarred horizon, King Alaric turned his gaze toward the future, ready to navigate the treacherous path that lay ahead. For the realm of Valeria, and all those who called it home, the struggle for lasting peace had only just begun. In the wake of the arduous battles that had ravaged the land, a hush settled upon the kingdom of Valeria. The echoes of war slowly faded, replaced by a collective yearning for peace. The scars of conflict still marred the landscape, serving as a somber reminder of the sacrifices made by countless warriors and the toll exacted upon the realm. King Alaric, his once fiery spirit tempered by the weight of responsibility, sought to forge a lasting peace. He knew that true reconciliation required more than the absence of conflict; it demanded a fundamental transformation of hearts and minds. With a heavy heart, he began the difficult process of dismantling the divisions that had plagued the realm for generations. Together with his trusted advisors, King Alaric established councils that represented the diverse factions and territories within Valeria. The voices of the people, once stifled by the clamor of war, were heard and honored. Diplomatic envoys were dispatched to neighboring realms, extending olive branches and offering a hand in friendship, rather than the blade of conquest. But even as the groundwork for peace was being laid, fate had its own designs. King Alaric, wearied by the burdens of kingship, succumbed to illness, leaving behind a legacy of resilience in a kingdom on the cusp of a new era. The news of his passing reverberated through the realm, stirring both grief and uncertainty. Amidst the mourning, the crown passed to Alaric's son, Prince Alaric. With determination in his heart and the teachings of his father as his guiding light, the young prince took up the mantle of leadership. He possessed his father's vision for peace, but faced the daunting challenge of bringing it to fruition in a world still scarred by old grievances. Prince Alaric, wise beyond his years, reached out to the neighboring realms, seeking their support and understanding. Through a series of carefully orchestrated negotiations, treaties were formed, borders redrawn, and reparations made. Leaders who had once been adversaries now stood side by side, their hands clasped in the spirit of unity and mutual respect. The seeds of peace, sown in the blood-soaked soil of conflict, began to sprout. Trade flourished, cultural exchanges blossomed, and Valeria found itself embraced by a newfound era of prosperity. Old rivalries gradually gave way to alliances, and the realm thrived under the collective efforts of its diverse people. Generations passed, and the memory of the grand battles that had consumed Elysium faded into legend. The scars of war slowly but surely healed, and a new narrative took root, a narrative of forgiveness, resilience, and the triumph of hope over darkness. The old kings and leaders, those who had borne the burdens of war and strived for peace, passed into legend. Their names were spoken with reverence, their sacrifices woven into the tapestry of Valerian lore. Their stories served as a reminder of the enduring human spirit and the transformative power of unity. And so, in the final chapter of the tale, peace settled upon the kingdom of Valeria. The realm had overcome the trials of its past, transcending the conflicts that had threatened to tear it apart. Under the wise and benevolent rule of Prince Alaric, Valeria flourished, its people living in harmony, their swords now plowshares, and their aspirations reaching toward a future of shared prosperity. In this era of peace, the realm of Elysium embraced a new identity, one defined not by the horrors of war but by the resilience and compassion of its people. The legacy of the grand battles would forever serve as a reminder of the cost of strife, a testament to the enduring pursuit of a better world. And as the sun set on the horizon, casting its warm glow upon the tranquil kingdom, the people of Valeria stood as living testaments to the power of unity and the indomitable human spirit. Their hearts beat as one, echoing the final refrain of a tale marked by the triumph of peace over conflict, a tale that would be passed down through the generations, etched into the very fabric of their shared history.